Very serious note in Ellis County. All new details about the criminal history of a North Texas mother who today is now charged with murdering 3 of her children.
We have our Caroline Vandergriff on this one today. She found out the suspect's twin sister is also accused of an eerily similar crime.
The Ellis County Sheriff's Office says Shamaya Hall's 5 children were living at this home on Harris Street with a relative in temporary custody of CPS when a caseworker made a visit on Friday afternoon. Investigators say the CPS caseworker ultimately decided to remove the children from the home and called 911 around 4 p.m. When an officer got to the scene just a few minutes later, they found all 5 children stabbed.
Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I wanted to ask a question. I was doing a little research about eugenics and what it meant, and I looked up on Google, and a definition of eugenics is a set of beliefs and practices that aim to improve the genetic quality of a human population. And with that belief, around the 1900s, like 1907, 1920s, the government had it to where people that were deemed mentally ill or had a disability such as like Down syndrome or other diagnosis, that they could sterilize them. I wanted to know, what were your thoughts on people with mental illnesses being sterilized, and what are your feelings about it? Just an open conversation about it. We can be respectful. And just the reason I ask is because the story I'm covering now, it's about twin sisters. They were both found to be mentally ill and had several children. So just give me your take on what you think about that. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks. And I also wanted to ask you all about, as far as parenting goes, do you think when we are pregnant, we receive classes for everything else? Like, if we have an anger issue, you can take an anger management. If you need to learn how to drive, we go to driving school. Should we be required to take a parenting class? Because even first-time parents, we've never been parents before. Do you think it should be something that's required? Because parenting is not easy. And do you think this would help? Because everybody, I've known several people with several children, and some of them are still unfit. So just tell me what you think about that also. Thanks. This story is about Shamaya Hall, who also had a twin sister named Troyshae Hall, who was committed to a mental facility for committing the same crime on her child. You must have heard of numerous crime stories related to murders and burglaries, but some crimes just leave you disgusted. Almost every single criminal has a motive for their actions, but some people are mentally ill or are pretending to be to cover up their deeds. Today we're going to talk about twin sisters Shamaya Hill, I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, and troyshae Hill. Their case is mind-blowing, especially when you consider how a mother can do this to their children, someone that they birth. The story takes place on a peaceful Friday afternoon in Italy, Texas, when 911 received a call around 4 p.m. The call was from a Texas Child Protective Services caseworker who was attempting to remove the children from the home on Harris Street. But when law enforcement arrived at the scene, they found the horror that would scar them for life. The police found 5 children, all stabbed and severely wounded by their mother, Shamaya Hill. Among the 5 children, the 6-year-old boy and 5-year-old twins, a boy and a girl, tragically lost their lives due to severe trauma from the wounds. The other 2 children, a 4-year-old boy and a 13-month-old girl, barely managed to survive the fatal injuries. The law enforcement did not waste a single second and transferred the victims to a nearby hospital to get immediate medical attention. On the other hand, Shamaya Hall, the mother of these 5 children, was arrested by the authorities and was kept in custody until her official trial started. According to the investigation reports, the children were temporarily living with a relative under Child Protective Services. The kids were living with their relatives because they were being abused and neglected by their parents. The relatives of the victims shared the names of the children who died in the incident: Legend Chappelle and the twins Aaliyah and Aiden Martin. The identities of the other 2 surviving victims were not made public. When law enforcement ran a background check on Shamaya, they made some shocking discoveries. They found out that this wasn't the first time she had engaged in some criminal acts, but rather had a long criminal history that dates back years before this heinous assault on her children. In 2017, Shamaya was found guilty of threatening a man with a lethal weapon. The incident took her behind bars, but once she was released, she stood before the judge again in 2020. This time, she pled guilty of brutally biting someone and severely injuring the victim. Then finally, in 2023, she did the unthinkable by stabbing all 5 of her children. Her criminal history showed that Shamaya was a very violent person, but law enforcement also made another very shocking discovery about her family. They discovered that her twin sister, troyshae Monet Hall, also had a similar violent outburst. Troyshae also pleaded guilty to stabbing her 7-year-old daughter to death back in 2021 in South Dallas. She was charged with murder, but her trial did not continue once it started because she was deemed incompetent due to a mental illness. The trial concluded and she was immediately sent to an inpatient mental health facility where she's seeking mental treatment to this day. But unlike her twin sister, Shamaya Hall's trial is still ongoing at this point and will hopefully conclude with a proper punishment. Shamaya was charged with 3 counts of capital murder of multiple persons. She currently is spending her time under the custody in Ellis County Detention Center. And on each murder charge, she was given a $2 million bond, which I don't think she should have got any type of bond. It doesn't matter if it was $1 million, no bond. When it comes to the motive behind these gruesome murders of mothers harming their children, it's very bizarre to see that there weren't any specific intentions behind the crime. We can see in Trochea's case that she suffered from some sort of mental illness, which made her extremely violent, and eventually led her to harm her children. It's highly possible that Shamaya might have also suffered from a mental illness because twins do share genetics. And I'm presuming that if one was mentally ill, the other could have been mentally ill also. I'm not 100% sure. But for now, all these things are hypothetical, as these types of cases are very complex and rely on various factors such as what type of illnesses she had and like the personal conflicts. The local community showed their condolences to the family. People came together for the 3 children, Aaliyah, Aiden, and Legend, and in their honor, they released balloons to the sky. The tragedy affected the entire community, and everyone awaits justice for these 3 poor souls who lost their lives on that day. This case raises awareness about child protection and mental illness. It's a serious matter because people like Shamaya and Troche often go unnoticed, and due to that negligence, they commit deeds that can't be redeemed. So just let me know what you feel about this case. And then again, both sisters were shown to be mentally ill. And that's another thing with CPS. I see that sometimes they remove children from good homes that should not be removed, and sometimes parents that are unfit and have been called several times, they are still in the home with those parents. And in my opinion, with this mother, she, as I understand, she had supervised visits, which I don't think she should have had any visits. I'm not the one to judge. I'm not God or anybody, but when it comes down to children, they need to be protected. So let me know what you think about this case and just leave your comments respectfully, please. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for listening.